Alright guys, welcome back. So today I want to talk about how to retire early on Ethereum. So this video is mainly about financial independence on Ethereum because what's really important is financial independence and how to retire early on Ethereum. You know guys, I've been thinking a lot about retirement even though I've only just turned 30, but it's just the fact that I feel that a lot of people are not going to be able to retire. Those working jobs are not going to be able to retire, and that is fact because of just the economic situation going on with excessive money printing, inflation. So if you read Ray Dalio's latest book on the principles of the changing world order, how nations succeed and fail, it goes exactly through what is happening in the US right now. It has happened in the history in the past. It happened to the UK, to the Dutch, to the Chinese. So are we going to be different? I don't think so. So that is why, I really think that crypto is the way to actually allow people to retire if you get in early enough. And right now we're pretty dang early, as we'll talk about in this video. So without further ado, let's go ahead and do me this one favor of smashing that like and subscribe button. Obliterate that like and subscribe button. And now let's get into this video. So to show you guys how early we are in the game, in 2020, some data found that just 6% of Americans use or own crypto. And 2021 data from the New York Digital Investment Group shows that about 46 million people nationwide, roughly 22% of the adult population, own a share of Bitcoin. So we don't have a lot of people that are in crypto. If you look on Facebook, if you run a poll on Facebook and ask people, what would you rather invest in, crypto or real estate? Most likely everybody, I actually saw this, like 95% of people would say real estate. So a lot of people are missing out, and that's just our opportunity to fill up our bags and wait for them to come in later to skyrocket the price up for our bags. So over here in old CoinGecko, I want you guys to take a note that the DeFi market cap is 161 billion. We're gonna use that number, or probably just a number close to that. And the ETH market cap is 483 billion. All right guys, so we know that the DeFi market has about $160 billion in it. And we know that about 6% of Americans are holding crypto. So if we do that, 160 billion divided by 6%, that should give us the total market cap if we were at 100% of adoption for Americans into crypto. And that would give us about $2.6 billion, or not billion, trillion dollars. So that is about $2.6667 trillion. Now let's do the same for ETH. We have 483 billion. So let's do 483 billion. Divide that by 6%. That will give us 8.05 trillion. Now, we know that for Ethereum, there's this much circulating supply, about 118 million. So if we divide that number, the lower number, the 2.67 trillion, and divide that by 118 million, then what will we get? We would get approximately $22,455 per Ethereum coin. So we used a smaller 2.6 trillion of the DeFi market total market cap if there is 100% adoption, which is probably going to be very unlikely right now. And we also use the assumption that Ethereum will still keep almost 100% of the market, because right now what really dominates the DeFi market is Ethereum. Most of DeFi is still in Ethereum, and that makes for the conservative calculation of around 22k per Ethereum, which is not bad because most influencers like Raul Paul and people like that have been saying that Ethereum is going to go to 20k soon. So that is kind of close to the mark with what other influencers have been saying. However, right now we didn't even factor in one important market. So that market is the global Forex trading market, which is estimated to be approximately 2.4 quadrillion. In other words, $2,409 trillion. So if we took that number, we got $2,409 trillion divided by the supply of ETH. What would that give us? Let's calculate that. That would give us around $20.2 million per ETH, which is, I know, that's insane. So let's make this less insane. Let's take, I don't know, like 1% of that big number, 2,409 trillion. And I think that would be 24 trillion. So let's take it to be 20, let's make it just 25 trillion. Let's make it 25 trillion divided by that ETH number. And what would that give us? So that would make it so that ETH is approximately 200k, or more specifically, $210,259 according to this. And I'm just gonna tell you right now, this is all speculation. This is not exactly gonna play out to the T because there are other blockchains like Solana, Cardano, Avalanche, for example, and they're all going to take a share of the piece of the pie, right? This is really just here for you to see what potential ETH has, and for you maybe to get a high, maybe to get excited, because if you don't have money to purchase Viagra because you've been spending it all on crypto, then Donald's channel is your next best choice. So I know that is a very crazy number of 20 million per ETH. That is unimaginable, but you never know, it might happen. It's crypto after all. But instead, let us talk about synthetic assets. So synthetic assets is something that can be a representation of something that's physical. Like a synthetic asset could represent a stock or gold. So instead of using the global Forex market, which is times bigger than the stock market, let's just dumb down and look at the stock market. Now, according to Wikipedia, the total market cap of all publicly traded securities worldwide rose from 2.5 trillion in 1980 to US 93.7 trillion at the end of 2020. So if we took that number, 93.7 trillion, divided by the number of ETH, that would still give us 788K. So if we imagine that entire stock market moved into crypto, it will still give us some unimaginable, impossible number in our mind, which may become possible one day, of what the price will be for Ethereum. So we already made it a little bit smaller from the Forex market to the stock market, and it's still that size. So I'm gonna link this Reddit post in the pinned comments below, but Tyler Winklevoss, who is one of the Winklevoss twins who founded Gemini, and they were really early adopters of Bitcoin. They're also big Ethereum holders. They predict a $78,000 Ethereum. So we could round that up to around 80K to make things easy to calculate. But what is funny is that 80K Ethereum would make for basically a 9 trillion market cap, which if we look at this article from Bloomberg on 2021 central banks binge, they have said that since the start of the pandemic, central banks in the US, Europe, and Japan have been on a $9 trillion spending spree, which is funny because at the same time, the US tech stocks are now worth more than 9 trillion. So if we took 9 trillion and divided that by the total number of ETH, the supply of ETH right now, that would bring us close to the number that Tyler predicted, which is 76K. So that is very interesting. So let's talk about what you came here to talk about. How to retire with ETH. Now, everything that we went to is not pointless because we need to know what the potential for ETH is in order for us to gauge how much ETH we really need in order to retire. So the way to retire with ETH is just like earning with a bank when people could earn with banks, and that is to earn passive income, or what I call interest. Now, to earn interest, you can become a validator, which would require 32 ETH, and I wouldn't suggest going this route because it takes a lot of complex technical knowledge and you have to be on it 24/7. Or you can also do a staking pool, which is fine, but what I use right now is I currently use Celsius. So Celsius is basically a custodian, and you can see here that with ETH, if you put in up to 100 ETH with Celsius, you're getting back 5.35%. Anything more than that, then you get 3.52%, which is the best that I've found so far. And Celsius is basically the easiest way to get started with earning interest. All you need to do is send your Ethereum over to your Celsius wallet, and then voila, you're earning interest. And if you want to get started with Celsius, please use the link in the description of the pinned comment below to get started. Anyways, let's say that you have 10 ETH, which is really hard for most people to get right now, but 10 ETH, and let's imagine that ETH goes up to the price that Tyler predicted, around $80,000 per ETH. That will make your net worth in ETH be $800,000. And 5.35% in Celsius of $800,000 is basically $42,800 per year. Note that even with 42K, because of the rising living costs in America, if you're living in America, you're probably not going to be able to live in America anymore, so you'll probably have to look for somewhere else. So one of the options that I was looking for is actually Moscow, Russia. Now, it may be cold, but I don't know, looking at the picture, it looks like the life is not that bad. I mean, the train stations look much nicer than what I get here in America. So anyways, other than that, it looks like the rent will run you up at least 200,000 rubles or $3,000 per month. Another option that I was thinking of is El Salvador, which will bring us to around 2K per month. So in Moscow, with 3K per month and 12 months, that would be 36K per month, right? So you have enough to be covered with your Ethereum earnings at 42K per month. So in El Salvador, on the other hand, you have 2K per month, or basically 24K per year. You have more than enough coming from your Ethereum interest to cover your cost of living there as well. And for both situations, you still have a little bit of extra to go reinvest into the market, which is fantastic. And not to mention, El Salvador is pro Bitcoin. So I think that would be a pretty damn cool place to live in. So as you can tell, this plan to retire with, let's say, 5 to 10 ETH does not include the USA because frankly, USA is just way too expensive. The numbers just don't work out considering the cost of living in USA, and with rising inflations and gas and stuff like that, no thank you. And if you have the money, you should consider somewhere else because even with third world countries, there are some nice places that you can get to if you have the money. So money goes far. You can sometimes get the same quality of living as you get in the US, or sometimes even better for less money. And that is coming from personal experience when I lived in Vietnam and Colombia. The only problem that you have is you just don't have fiber or good internet most of the time. So it really is a personal decision. What I see currently living in the US is there is increased risk due to the rising differences between the wealth classes, between rich and poor, and the conflicts and robberies that we see happening in broad daylight in some cities like San Francisco. And with high living costs that is likely going to go even higher with inflation, all of these things that we're seeing right now would probably just be exacerbated. And the one big question that you really got to ask is the US going to stay on top? Is it going to stay as the dominant power? Is the US dollar going to keep its reserve currency status? And let me tell you, in history, there has been many empires that have been in the place where US is in now. And each and every one of them has lost reserve currency, has lost their top power in the world, has lost their top position as top dog. So for those reasons and the ideology of having being the sovereign individual when it comes to crypto, I really consider other options other than the US that may be cheaper than can offer the same quality of living. You know, I think for $2K a month, you can go to Playa del Carmen and live on the beaches instead. So for the exact same cost as living in El Salvador, you get to live on the beaches instead. But other than that, let me know in the comments below. Do you own ETH? Are you planning to invest in ETH? And if you do, what are you planning to do with that ETH? Are you planning to retire? And if you retire, where would you go? As a big travel bug, I would really want to know where you would go instead. And what would you do? What would be your plans to leverage that ETH you have to make your own living plans? Alright guys, that's all for today's video. I hope you learned something about how to retire early on Ethereum and finding your own financial independence with Ethereum. If you've enjoyed this video, if you learned something, then please be sure to smash the like button, smash the subscribe button, check out these other videos on cryptocurrencies and passive income, and I'll see you next time. Peace!